Society praises mom for guilt, but what about dads? Today, we are exposing the silent struggle fathers face every day, yet why no one talks about it. Welcome back about it. Welcome back to Love By. I'm Adria, your host, the space where we keep it raw, unfiltered, and real about everything in between. Today, we're diving straight into the topic that doesn't get talked about enough: dad guilt, the pressure, the expectations, and the internal struggles fathers carry quietly. Think about it. Fathers are expected to be strong, supportive, providers, and role models. Yet, when they feel overwhelmed or like they're not enough, there's little room to admit it. In this episode, we'll explore where the guilt comes from, how it shows up, and practical ways to show up fully for your kids and while you're still taking care of yourself, which is the most important. Quick note: this episode is for educational and personal growth purposes. It is not a substitute for therapy or medical guidance. Fathers are more involved than ever, studies will show us. Studies show that 81% of fathers report spending time with their children daily, a huge jump from 50% in the 1970s. But here's what's funny. 30% of fathers feel like they're failing or letting their family down. And mental health struggles, they're real. Around 1 in 10 fathers experience postpartum depression or anxiety. And yes, dads get that too. Men get that too. And here's a thought: when was the last time you felt like you were failing as a dad? Do you catch up yourself for working late, not playing enough, or not being the perfect provider? Why would it feel like a release of some pressure that shows up fully for yourself and your family? If this episode resonates, hit subscribe so you don't miss real conversations about parenthood and life you don't hear anywhere else. So let's start understanding why dad guilt exists and why it can feel so heavy. Dad guilt often stems from conflicting societal expectations. On one hand, society tells fathers, be the provider, work hard, keep your family financially secure. On the other hand, it says, be present, be nurturing, never miss a moment with your child. And yet, if you show any sign of vulnerability or admit stress, suddenly that's weak or less than. That's the pressure. And it's exhausting. If you ask me, it's completely unfair. Unlike mothers, fathers aren't always socially allowed to talk about stress, burnout, or mental health. When a mother admits she's overwhelmed, people nod and say, you're human. But when a father does it, sometimes the response is silence, or worse, judgment. So the guilt stays bottled up, quietly eroding confidence and increasing stress. So I would love for you guys to picture this: a dad at work, juggling emails and deadlines, sneaks a text to his kid's teacher or to check on homework. He's also trying to plan a weekend outing for his family. Every small decision feels like a test. Am I being enough? The guilt whispers constantly, you could do more. You should be doing more. It's relentless. And also, another example is missing a recital because of overtime at work, then feeling guilty for not being there, even though it was unavoidable, right? Spending quality time on a weekend, but worrying about work or chores are feeling neglected. Feeling pressure to provide materially while also emotionally supporting a spouse and a child often simultaneously. So think about this. Which expectations weigh heaviest on you as a father? Do you feel comfortable admitting when you feel feel like you're struggling or you need help? Do you find yourself apologizing constantly at work, at home, or even with your kids for not being perfect? Research will show us that fathers who experience guilt are most likely to report depression, anxiety, and strained relationships. But here's the silver lining: children don't need perfection, they need presence. When fathers show up emotionally, consistently, and authentically, it leaves a lasting positive impact. Effort beats perfection every single time. Now that we understand the pressures and why dad guilt exists, let's shift focus to something powerful: showing up for yourself so you can show up fully for your kids later. If you're finding this helpful so far, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode where I tackle the real, the raw, and unfiltered truths of life, love, and parenthood. So let's think about what showing up for yourself looks like. Self care isn't selfish. For fathers, showing up for yourself isn't about spa days or occasional breaks. It's about tending to your mental, emotional, and physical health consistently. A father who prioritizes his own well being is more patient, more present, and more emotionally available for his family. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. But here's the part that isn't talked about enough. When men take time for themselves, they're often added pressure and judgment. Society can label it as selfish, lazy, indulgent, even if it's a 30-minute walk, a gym session, a moment of reflection. Fathers often feel like they must earn the right to rest, which can make prioritizing self care feel like another burden rather than a relief. So imagine a dad is finally carves out 20 minutes in their evening to meditate or to go running. As soon as he sits down, he hears the inner critic. Shouldn't you be doing laundry, helping homework, making dinner? That's the invisible pressure men carry, balancing the need of self care with the expectations to always be giving, always be present, always be productive. It's exhausting. Even as I'm thinking about it, it's exhausting for me. Even 15 minutes of quiet reflection, a short walk, a call with a friend can completely shift your mind, your mood, your patience, and your energy with your kids. Imagine walking into bed fully present instead of stressed and distracted. That makes a world of a difference. What showing up for yourself looks like as a man: mental health, therapy, journaling, a quiet reflection to process stress; physical health, exercise, stretching, or taking a walk to release tension; emotional health, talking honestly with a partner, a friend, or a mentor about struggle; setting boundaries, saying no to extra work, social obligations, or tasks that overwhelm you; hobbies and passions, doing something you love, even if it's just about for 20 to 30 minutes a day. Here's some questions for you to think of. When was the last time you did something solely for yourself? If your children saw you prioritizing your well being, what would they learn about self respect and balance? How would your mood, your patience, and your connection with your family shift if guilt didn't stop you from taking care of yourself? What internal or external pressures make it hard for you to take this time? And some of the things that you can do to help can be scheduling at least 30 minutes a day for personal time, reading, exercise, hobbies, reflection. Talk with another father, another mentor, support groups. Sharing your struggle is not a weakness. Journal and or reflect. I am allowed to take care of myself and still be a great dad. It's important to understand that and remember that and start small. Even 5 minutes of intentional self care is a win. Comment below if you're committing to one small act of self care this week, and subscribe if you want more practical guidance and thriving as a modern father who balances giving with replenishing himself. Next, let's talk about showing up for your kids without the unrealistic pressure of perfection and how presence beats perfection every time. Modern fathers are more involved than ever. From changing diapers to bedtime stories to school events. But here's the truth: presence beats perfection. Children notice effort, emotional engagement, and consistency, not whether you do everything right. Many dads feel pressure to be the perfect parent, always patient, always fun, always available. That pressure can create guilt when life is inevitable. The reality is, your children don't need a perfect dad. They need a present, authentic, and emotionally available dad. So think about this. Imagine a dad juggling work deadlines who still makes it to soccer practice. Maybe he's tired, maybe he doesn't feel up to it, but his child sees him cheering from the sidelines. The effort leaves a lasting impression. Or bedtime stories. A dad sits down to read a story, his mind wandering to chores he hasn't finished. He pauses, focuses, and really listens to his child. The presence, the full attention is what children remember. Even small gestures, like asking about their day or listening to them vent, can help build trust and emotional security that lasts a lifetime. Some questions to think about. Are you modeling emotional honesty for your children? How does your mood, your stress, or self talk affect them? If you showed up fully today, even imperfectly, what would you teach your child about presence and love? What small moments can you claim today that will matter to your child's future tomorrow? Some things that you can do, right? As a suggestion is schedule focus time daily for activities your child enjoys, even if it's 15 to 20 minutes. Practice active listening. Put down your phone, make eye contact, and show your child that you're truly heard and valued, that you hear them and you see them. Celebrate small wins. Handling a tantrum calmly, sharing a joke, or reading together counts. It all adds up. And create rituals from bedtime stories, weekend walks, or weekend breakfasts. Consistency matters more than perfection. Finally, let's explore how to release dad guilt so you can show up fully as a father, as a partner, and as a man without the weight of perfection holding you back. Guilt is a signal. It can show us where we want to improve, but it often amplifies by societal pressure. Maybe fathers carry an internal voice that says, I should be doing more, I'm not enough, or I'm failing my family. The truth? Releasing dad guilt isn't about ignoring responsibility, it's about accepting imperfection, valuing presence over perfection, and giving yourself grace. Studies will show us that fathers who experience chronic guilt are more likely to report symptoms of depression and anxiety, which can strain relationships and family dynamics. Around 1 in 10 fathers experience postpartum depression, yet so many go undiagnosed due to stigma. Studies indicate that children with emotionally present fathers, even imperfect ones, have better social emotional outcomes and report higher levels of trust and security. These numbers tell us something so powerful. Letting go of unnecessary guilt isn't about just what's good for you, it's good for your children, your partner, and your relationship. Picture this: a dad who's constantly apologizing for missing work deadlines or not being available for every homework session. He starts a simple practice each evening. He writes down one way he shows up for his kid that day. Over time, he realizes he's doing more than he thought, and his children notice the effort, not the flaws. The small act of reframing guilt shifts perspective and improves connection. So think about this. Which guilt thoughts are holding you back? What would it feel like to let go of unnecessary pressure today? How would your relationships with your children or partner improve if guilt didn't weigh on you constantly? And what's one imperfection you can accept about yourself this week and still be a great dad? Some suggestions will show us: name the guilt, write down those thoughts and reframe them. I am doing my best, and that is enough. Share your feelings, talk with your partner or a friend or another dad. You're not alone in this. Celebrate your wins. Notice the small daily moments when you've shown up for yourself imperfectly. That counts. Set realistic expectations. Pick one area this week where you can ease pressure on yourself. And remember, by letting go of guilt, you're teaching your children resilience, self compassion, and healthy boundaries. Think about it. What would you feel like to release that pressure and show up for yourself without the weight of feeling imperfect? If this episode resonates, comment below one way you're letting go of dad guilt today. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe. This is more than a podcast, it is a movement. Share this episode with a dad who's constantly giving but forgetting to refill his own cup. Because every time you invest in yourself, your mental health, your emotional well being, and your physical health, you're also investing in your children, your family, and your relationships. You are showing them that self care, boundaries, and balance are strengths, not luxuries. Until next time, stay loved, stay grounded, and most of all, stay you. Remember, showing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's how you show up fully as a father and a man. Take those lessons with you this week and allow yourself to show up imperfectly, but authentically for yourself and for your family. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Bye.